The Celebration of Reiki has an outreach mission. Beyond educating Reiki practitioners, we want to bring this healing and meditation practice of Reiki out into the communities. Last year, we ran a pilot program to train Reiki practitioners to do Reiki outreach in the community. Each participant had a couple of organizations or settings that they wanted to do outreach presentations and follow those outreach presentations up with Reiki clinics, Reiki training, Reiki workshops, Reiki meditation workshops for staff or members of the community. These may be underserved communities, low-income communities, elders. We wanted to share this practice widely in the community. And so we began this Reiki outreach program via this training program of Reiki professionals. The pilot program went through. Our graduates are out there in the community with first responders, at senior centers, and at Alzheimer's caregiver groups. And they're doing their outreach. One person is considering working with the Shriners Hospital. So they're out there doing their outreach. Now we evaluated the pilot program and we are bringing a full-on 25-hour intensive Reiki outreach training program to Reiki practitioners. So each year we plan to have 8 more and then 8 more and then 8 more people that are able to really do Reiki outreach in a competent and credible way so that the mainstream public says, wow, this is not what I thought Reiki was. This is actually a real, legit practice. And we are a real, legit practice. It's a practical resource for people with problems big and small, people with challenges big and small, people who want to bring their resiliency out. They want to be more mindful so that they can respond to situations without bringing extra suffering. Life is full of uncertainty, but we can work with what we have here so we're not so gripped by incredibly troubling thoughts and emotions. And Reiki practice can really help us manage ourselves. Reiki outreach is going to have some core competencies because when people are competent, they'll be confident speaking about Reiki to the public. One of them is that we want our outreach people to really understand the history of Reiki. There has been, over the last decade, a wealth of new research about the history of Reiki, about the origins of Reiki, the roots of Reiki in Buddhism, Shintoism, and Taoism. And people who go out into the public need to know the history. They need to ground this practice with its history and origins, because guess what? I've done outreach presentations and people will ask me outright, well, what's the history and origin of Reiki? And if I can't answer that question correctly, accurately, with research and evidence, I'm not helping bring credibility to Reiki. So number 1, the Reiki history. Number 2 would be being able to answer the question, how does Reiki work? So how can we, the training program, equip Reiki practitioners who reach out into the public to answer that question? And it turns out there's a couple of options. One is going with the biological and physiological competency. And that's kind of where I go to. So I can talk about the stress response versus the relaxation response. I can talk about shifting the nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic. And if you can get down with that literature, you can use that language and know what you're talking about and explain to people that Reiki can work through their everyday biological, physiological thing, and no one's any different in that way, so it can work for all of us. Calm down the nervous system. Another competency is to understand the emerging biofield science. So Reiki is categorized in energy medicine as a biofield therapy. and there is emerging science that people need to know about the biofield and biofield therapy. So that's another competency. And there really is a third approach to answering the question, how does Reiki work, and is one of the core competencies, and that is the kind of psychosocial approach. So core competencies so far are history, answering the question, how does Reiki work? And the third one is when we do outreach, we're leaders. So we want to promote conscious leadership. And those are skills. They're skills in listening. They're skills in staying solid and stable and settled. Those are skills about allowing all options and being open to possibility. So we train on conscious leadership. We also train specifically, a very practical competency is, how do you go about approaching the Shriners? What do you just walk in one day and say, oh, we're Reiki people? So we teach a whole protocol on researching the organization, finding out what the needs of the people are, figuring out if we want to work with staff or hospitalized patients. What about outpatients? So finding where we want to put ourselves, researching their needs. Who do we call? Who do we email? How do you make that call? How do you follow up with that email? Arrange an in-person meeting. What do you bring with you to that meeting? A beautiful presentation folder about all the ways Reiki can be beneficial and effective to their staff or patients or the family members of the patients. We teach it all the way down the line so that you can run your own outreach presentation.